We are live, okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the public hearing to order. Tonight, November 25th, we have a public hearing first before we get to our regular council meeting. And the purpose of tonight's hearing is Bylaw 24, 2024, Envision Cochrane 2050. I'm just going to go through a few of our operating rules of engagement, I guess, for tonight. I'll outline the procedures by which we will be taking your comments tonight. Before I do, I want to confirm that we have given notice and the hearing was published in accordance with Section 606 and 692 of the Municipal Government Act. Thumbs up. Yes, it has. As you came in, you were given the opportunity to add your name to this list, speakers list, and we request that all in attendance who wish to make comments ensure that they are on the list. However, if you did not get your name on the list, I will do a last call before council wraps up the hearing tonight. And I will call from the applicant to present to council on the application, and then we'll move to the speakers list that I've outlined here. There is a formal presentation by administration tonight during the public hearing, and as council's opportunity to hear directly from the applicant tonight, which is the town and affected residents. Once we have completed the presentation and answered any questions from council, I will call on the speakers list, and then, like I said, go through the gallery if there's any others that wish to speak tonight. When your name is called, please come to the microphone, face the podium, and state your name and any group or association that you may be representing tonight. Each person will be given 5 minutes to make their comments and 10 minutes if you are representing a group of 2 or more people. We appreciate everyone working to keep within the allotted time. If need be, I will indicate when your time has ended. And I ask that everyone be courteous and respectful to one another. Only one speaker should be speaking at a time, ensuring that you are directly in front of the microphone, as I said, and so your comments can be heard through our streaming, the live stream. Please do not interrupt a speaker or shout out comments from the gallery. Speakers will not engage in dialogue with other gallery members. Once all the public have had their opportunity to speak, council may call up our applicant, which is us, the town of Cochrane, for any clarifying questions. No decisions will be made tonight, as this is a public hearing, and the purpose of this hearing is to hear from both the public and ourselves tonight as the applicant for Envision Cochrane. And with that, we'll move to the presentation. Good evening.
Good evening, and my apologies if I stood up too early for this.
No, you just made me read it faster. It was good.
I'm so sorry.
No one wants to hear that part anyways.
Thank you. My name is Rachel Dillon, and I'm with O2 Planning and Design Consulting, and we have been the lead consultant on the Envision Cochrane plan, and I am here to speak in favor of it. So, quick reminder, we've had 3 phases of public engagement to create this plan. The first one focused on the vision and goals and hearing from the public about those. The second phase discussed draft policy scenarios. I got public feedback on that. Afterwards, we drafted the plan and presented the draft plan for public review and revised it based on that feedback and finalized it. And now here we are in the middle of the approval process. So public hearing, of course, is tonight and December 2nd if needed, followed by second reading December 9th, CMRB review period mid-December to mid-February, and then third reading in March of next year. So my short presentation will start with a very quick summary and overview of the Envision Cochrane 2050 plan. The vision is Cochrane at home in the hills, and we're very grateful that this vision came from a member of the public in the third phase of engagement, and it's supplemented by a vision paragraph here that really speaks to growing and thriving, but protecting what makes us special as a community, our heritage and our natural setting, and creating a community that continues to attract diverse residents, businesses, and entrepreneurs. The goals of the plan focus on balancing residential and non-residential development, concentrating intensification in Cochrane's central core and distributing it appropriately in the communities, providing people choice in how they want to move about the community as well as housing choice, growing the arts and culture community, and maximizing our parks and open spaces, working with the business community, making responsible, transparent, and well-informed decisions, offering an exceptional level of service, and then financial sustainability. I'll quickly go through each of the key sections of the plan. The first section, growth, focuses on optimizing growth in a fiscally responsible manner. The land use section provides land use guidance for the historic downtown, new downtown, our residential neighborhoods, neighborhood centers, development corridors, and employment lands. Then we have subject area sections. Community design really focuses on achieving that design quality, not only in the downtown, but throughout Cochrane. And then the housing section focuses on providing diverse housing options and housing affordability. Parks, recreation, and natural areas informs future park planning, offering environmental stewardship, as well as year-round recreation for the community. Arts and culture policy focuses on supporting the arts and culture community through venues, events, and other supports. The community safety section focuses on accessible and optimized service delivery. The mobility chapter policies really focus on sustainable transportation that is safe and accessible and offers people choice in how they move through connected networks. Servicing is about strategic investments, sustainable practices, and economic vitality is really about collaboration with the business community, growing our employment areas, and offering support. And now I'll quickly go through the reasons for approval. So the Envision Cochrane 2050 plan is an update of the current municipal development plan to reflect the opportunities and challenges facing Cochrane today and in the future. It will provide a blueprint of how we plan and how we grow our community over the next 25 to 50 years. It operationalizes Council's strategic plan and community vision. And it aligns with the regional growth plan. And lastly, it includes an implementation section which provides a framework to evaluate progress towards the policies, goals, and vision of Envision Cochrane 2050, as well as an update schedule to ensure that the plan remains relevant and can respond to ongoing opportunities facing the community. I'll end my presentation there, and I'm here with Mark Krasinski, the Director of Community Growth, for any questions of clarity or discussion.
All right, thank you for your presentation. Council, I'm just going to highlight this is not the first time we've seen this. I think it feels like the 10th time over the last year and a bit, which is awesome. I'm just saying that in case there's no questions, but there is. Councillor Flowers.
One question. So tonight we don't give any feedback, do we? We just listen during the public hearing and then we have a chance on the second reading? Thank you.
So no clarifying questions from council? Not seeing any. I think we're good to go.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we'll go to the speakers list. I have one speaker so far, Mr. Voss.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, my name is Ron Voss, and I represent Dog with a Bone. And so let's talk about Envision Cochrane 2050, or as I prefer to call it, envisioning the United Nations Agenda 2030 in disguise. First of all, when one considers the logo for the new municipal development plan, branded as Environment Cochrane 2050, you will note that it is an echo of the logo for the UN Agenda 2030, a circle with multiple colorful wedges. Coincidence? Perhaps. Agenda 2030 is the United Nations agenda for, quote, transforming our world through its 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Each colored wedge represents one of the 17 goals, when goal number 13 represents climate action, calling upon taking urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts. This is a key goal for the UN to achieve its 2030 agenda, since according to the UN, we are standing at the brink of climate catastrophe. However, unlike our large cities like Edmonton and Calgary, which are more overt about dancing to the tunes of the globalist UN and Agenda 2030. For example, Calgary has boldly declared a climate emergency and is spending $85 billion to address it. And Edmonton has announced the creation of 15-minute communities. On the other hand, smaller municipalities like Cochrane are more covert, more subtle about their intention. For example, sifting through Cochrane's draft MDP, one finds 8 references to the word climate, 2 references to climate change, including a need to mitigate climate change. To top things off, one also finds references to reducing greenhouse gas emissions, implementing emission reduction programs, and supporting renewable energy systems, where the latter corresponds to nothing more than supporting unreliable energy systems for ideological reasons. Now, with respect to mobility, on 2 occasions, the MDP calls for low carbon options. Interestingly, the first draft of the MDP mentioned, quote, promoting net zero development. But that phrase was removed from this final draft, presumably as that would be too transparent of desiring to go along with Trudeau's commitment to that ridiculous goal. Of concern are the 5 references to infill in the MDP. If you want to know something about that, take a visit to Calgary to see examples of infills, where especially in older developments, houses are torn down to construct rectangular block buildings, essentially mini apartment blocks, towering over the neighboring homes, changing the very nature of those communities. One wonders if those references were included in the MDP to prepare the town to tap into funding from Trudeau's Housing Accelerator Fund, which appears to have those strings attached to it. Now, we're told that the consultation on the content of the MDP involved the consideration of the feedback received from 3 primary groups, namely the elected town council, the unelected town administration, and the public, the residents of this town. The contribution by this trio was represented by a pie chart showing each slice of equal size. However, I wonder how the contribution by each of these parties was weighted. I participated in the public surveys and did not come across any questions with respect to climate change, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, infills, etc. So that leads one to ask, where did this language in the draft MDP come from? Now, the MDP, as you explained, is one of the town's most important planning documents, a high-level document sitting near the top in the hierarchy of plans when making decisions about land use in Cochrane. Or at the top, above the MDP, sort of providing an overarching blueprint for how land is used and developed in the community, we have the Calgary Metropolitan Region Board's growth plan. Remember that in 2022, Mayor Ganong worked closely with Naheed Nenshi, then Calgary Mayor, and now leader of the NDP, to bring Cochrane into the Calgary Metropolitan Region Board. Accordingly, I understand that Cochrane will be required to submit its MDP for review by the CMRB, quote, to ensure compliance with the growth plan. So much about giving up some of our sovereignty by joining the CMRB is being questioned. As the town proceeds to second reading on this draft MDP, I respectfully ask that they expunge the questionable language I have alluded to from the MDP. Thank you for your attention.
Not seeing any questions, Mr. Voss.
Not seeing
Thank
any
you.
questions? No, thank you.
Is there anyone else in the gallery wishing to speak for or against the bylaw in front of us tonight? Not seeing any. Does administration have any closing comments, presentation? No? Council, one more time for questions? Seeing none? Okay.